it's one of the fascinating things for me about the work that you do is how you choose where to work and how you manage all of the different projects that you work on in terms of juggling those priorities. And in particular, what's of interest to me is I felt very flattered that you wanted to work in Milton Keynes, and to bring you here and to see you walk through the city. What was the process that went through your mind in terms of thinking, yeah, I can do something here? What was the creative spark that made you want to do that?
I think it was before that day of walking through the city. You know, I had a sense of Milton Keynes. I'd looked at Milton Keynes sort of in the year before, when, you know, some of the initial discussions about would a festival be a good idea. Then people from the Gallery and Theatre Company had contacted me as one of a number of people that they were contacting as, do you want to come and talk and be part of a sort of thinking process? But that actually didn't happen. So it was set up to happen, and then it didn't happen. But by that, you know, obviously I'd sort of gone online and sort of looked at things and sort of looked at the structure of the city and looked at things like the Parks Trust and thought, oh, that's really interesting actually. The parks aren't run by the council, the parks are run by a trust. Because for me, I think those things of how it's not just the physicality of the city, but it's how things work and how things, you know, are different from place to place, which is also very much an interesting sort of part of a place. So there was that, but I think actually what was key was the fact that I'd seen you and Alison at so many events, you know, and I mean, we had talked, but we hadn't talked hugely at length over those events, but we talked about shows a little bit, and, you know, you're there seeing that, and I just thought that was, you know, that was just somebody, you know, just really saying, okay, well, this is going to happen and I'm going to put energy into that. So I was responding to that, and then so that got us here to the train station, and then yeah, it's interesting just that day of walking, you know, we essentially walked the Midsummer Boulevard line, and within probably 150 metres of either side, which I think people know is sort of the story that then, you know, sort of been trying to stick to with the festival, and it was just thinking there's some blank canvas things here. There is something about it being a test, it being a pilot, that actually you felt you could, you know, paint some things, and, you know, some things aren't going to work, but actually that's also part of the journey that is going on with this festival, and just I think odd meetings, you know, like Keith, who's the Vice Chancellor here, you know, when we came in here, because we'd looked at what I think is a lovely area, and again somewhere which just cries out for something, which is the round green with the pine trees around just here. You know, we looked at that and just thought, and then we'd come into University Centre because obviously it was new, and then Keith was there, and it just felt there was an energy there. Keith sort of said, yes, you know, that's really good, you know, the festival's something that we want to support, and you know, there were just other people, I think, on that day that we bumped into that seemed to be saying energy about a new thing happening, and I think that then just for me just thought, well, that's you know, that's somewhere where why not go there? Yeah. You know, there felt like an invitation that was, you know, a genuine invitation. So I responded to that.
Yeah, I think what was interesting, Bill and I, over that long lunch, was we tested each other out in terms of where our artistic pinch points were. So he'd go, did you like that? And I'd go, no, it was absolutely